Today I'm out on a very frosty morning with the Minelab Equinox, and in a little while I'm going to run you through my preferred settings, because when I first got this machine I had a bit of a nightmare with it. When this Equinox 800 was first released, how many years ago, I bought mine out of the first retail batch, so I've been using it ever since then. So I think I'm reasonably qualified to give you my own personal opinion. So this is really a few top tips about how I use the Equinox. So let me tell you about my initial struggles with this machine and how I overcome them. Initially you go out into the field and you put it in field mode, but it was just so twitchy. I just could not use this machine in a stable way. I tried everything, so I got really frustrated with it and I give up with it. So I got talking to my mate Tony up north, hello Tone, and he said no, where you're going wrong, you're using the field mode, far too twitchy, you need to be using the park mode. And I had a job getting my head around this, because I thought park mode, that's for the USA. Oh no, park mode for me in the UK was an absolute game changer. It really was a game changer for this machine. So as soon as I started using the park mode as my base program, then I started finding things. I've learned a lot about this machine over the years, and simple is the best way to go. Now I have upgraded this machine to the latest version and the versions in between, and I've gone back to 1.175, and I'll tell you why that is in a very short while. But for me, 1.175 is just something I've got confidence in, and it works every time, it really does. Now that's a nice one, that's coming in at 16, but there's no fluctuation in the target ID, is there? It's totally solid. And this is why the signals sound pure, because the target ID isn't fluttering around. It's just a big chunk of foil, nothing exciting at all. Oh well. Now what I will say about this Equinox 800, it is absolutely awesome on low conductive targets. It loves them. There's a range you've just got to be careful of, and it's target ID 15. I'm not saying ignore target ID 15, but if you get a signal which 15 flashes up, then 20 flashes up, then 14 and 12 and 11, if it's not consistent, this is really the red flag for misshaped iron. So it's entirely up to you, but obviously if it locks on 15, 14, 17, something like that, it's worth digging. Now if you feel a little bit lonely using this machine on a quiet field, you can introduce some threshold. That's cool, threshold it is. And also you'll notice there I'm not using the iron tone, because again I think the iron tone just makes the signal a little bit too busy. So there's one of those sort of suspicious signals. Now I can turn the iron tone on now, just for clarification. There it is, look, we're not going to dig that, iron tone off. So the whole idea of using this Equinox 800 is, like I say, simplicity. We don't want to be using features we don't need. There you go. And that's what it is, look. Top of a button. If you wanted to try different machines out in the field, why not sign up for one of our metal detecting taster days? I've got all the information on the Skill School website. And also, if you want to just hone your skills with the machine you've got, I do the Skill School one-to-one tuitions. Again, everything's on the Skill School website. It doesn't matter whether you've got routers, Nocta, Minelab, XP, it really doesn't matter what machine you've got. We can do a day's tuition or even supply a machine of your choice. Okay, let's start by factory presetting this machine by switching the machine on and holding the button down until you see FP. We're in park mode, so the park program is exactly where we want to be. Scroll through the settings, and this is all I adjust. Obviously the volumes and thresholds are entirely up to you. So 5 tones, press and hold it. Tone 1 I'm not touching. Tone 2, 6 I'm not touching. Tone 3, 12 I'm not touching. Tone 4 I'm putting it on 12. And tone 5 I'm putting on 20. Keep going, keep going. Sweep speed, recovery speed 5, that's good. Iron filter 6, well that's got to be on 0. So if we're searching UK farmland, we may have a problem with low grade Roman coins and small low conductivity targets if we start raising that filter. That's based on personal experience. Okay, so that's it. That is all I'm using. Sensitivity, I very often just use it at 18. So why is this program so good? There's a certain tone which really gets my attention, and it's that low tone, number 6. So when you're detecting, you just listen out for that When I'm doing my one-to-one training days with the 800, I always call it the sulky teenager tone, because it is like a sulky teenager, if you know what I'm saying. Now you've got part 1, part 2, field 1, field 2. Now part 1 and part 2 use a different frequency range. So part 1 uses a slightly lower frequency, part 2 uses a higher frequency, and the same applies to field 1 and field 2. Field 2 uses a higher frequency. And also there's some other different tweaks to the algorithm which I can't really go into because I'm not 100% sure, not speaking to an engineer about it, but this is just what I've found out over the years I've been using this. So that's just giving you a little bit of information regarding why I use Park 1 on UK farmland. So when the iron filter is turned off, what sort of signal do you get on the iron? Well, a lot of iron is completely rejected anyway using the discrimination, but on the tricky iron you tend to get a fluttering sound. Let me demonstrate. And can you see those numbers bouncing around? And sometimes just the slight fluttering sound will give you that information you need. That's iron. But don't forget that low tone, that low grunt, never ignore that one. Always go for it, whether it's fluttering or quiet. So why do I keep the settings really simple on my Equinox 800? Well, here's a jewel in the crown. Again, just my personal thoughts. Every time I detect with this, I do a factory reset. And having simple settings, it just takes seconds to put in. Now, if you're having a bad day with your Equinox 800 or any other machine what does a factory reset, just do a factory reset. I think you'll be surprised what a difference it makes, because I think over time with all the various adjustments, the machine builds up, let's call it cookies in the system, and by doing a factory reset it clears everything out and the machine starts the day off on fresh parameters. So that's why I just have a 30-second setup with this Equinox 800, because if I had lots of different adjustments it'll be a nightmare factory resetting it all the time. But again, like I just said, that's my personal opinions and I welcome you to give them a try. 13, locking on quite nicely, isn't it? Oh, it's another shotgun cartridge. But interestingly enough, this one is a side pin shotgun cartridge. I've got a bit of information for you here. These rimfires were invented in 1845 by a French guy, Louis Nicolas Foubert. How's that? Now you thought I was being clever there, didn't you? But actually I've just got it off Wikipedia. So once I started concentrating on that low grunty tone, my hammered coin fines rate went up considerably. You can really manipulate those tone break bands. You don't have to stick to what I've got. For example, if you were just coin hunting, you manipulate those tone... That's the sulky teenager sound. And that's the tone I've had a lot of success with. Those small hammered coins, those little cut quarters, those little quarter staters, they all come in around that sort of number. Don't worry about in-air test because it's totally different. The ground will dictate what number is the final value, because if it's mineralized ground, it tends to drag the number down a little bit. So here we go, let's see what this sulky teenager has to say. Bouncing, double bleeping, so it's not that deep. There you go. Tiny little coin. Looks to me like it could be maybe a Roman or even a rose farthing. I don't know. So anyway, what I was saying is you can manipulate those tone breaks to how you want them to sound. For example, coin hunting, if you have your coin range at a certain tone break, assign all that to the higher tones and then everything else to the lower tones. And it's really easy to expand your tone break range. For example, I think the cutoff point here is target ID of 10, so that's a low grunty sound. But if I wanted the low grunty sound to have a cut off at say 14, all I have to do is go into the menu, it's flashing 10. Obviously I can move it around to change the different parameters, but the parameter I want is 10, so just go up, plus button. See, you can now, everything up to 13 will give the low tone, and then we've got the next tone and the next tone, so you can manipulate this tone ID to how you want it. I'm going to go back to 10 for the moment. Okay, simple. You can see how easy it is to manipulate those tone breaks. I went from 10 to 14 with just the press of a button. But if you're using the factory reset mode every time you start detecting, doing that notch range is gonna add a few seconds to your original setup. So that's why I like to just use the quick setup, park mode, couple of quick adjustments, I'm done. And of course, if you're using the latest version, you've got 2 levels of iron filter, so you've got to adjust both of them down to 0, so that's more time. Again, that's a small target. And there it is, look. That is, well, you tell me. Post in the comments below. A little partifact of some sort. Again, coming up at a nice low tone. See what I mean about those tiny little low conductors? There's nowhere to hide, is there? There you go, your sulky teenager. Coming in at 5 and 6. Looks like perhaps a broken bit of a coin, maybe. Sort of lozenge shape. Don't know, really don't know. So what modifications have I done to this Equinox 800 since I've got it? Well, first of all, as you can see, I've changed the stem because I wanted a stem that collapsed to a small size and fit into a rucksack. So I've got this carbon fibre stem, it goes nice and small, it's light, it's easy to swing, so I think that's job done. And then at the back there I've got the arm cut band. So I tend to use the arm cut band all the time, especially in stubble. Now this is an elasticated one. I think it might be off a GoPro or something like that, and it's easy to slip your arm in and out of, especially when you're wearing a heavy jacket. So that's elasticated band. And finally, on the coil, I've had the broken coil lugs, as many of you have had, and I've put the coil block adapter on it. It's just glued on and it's lasted for years. It's perfect. So that was only about £12 off eBay. So that's some modifications I've done to this Equinox 800. And at the moment, the Equinox 800 second hand are going for silly money, next to nothing. So if you were interested in one of these, the smart money would be to buy a second-hand good Equinox 800, and I believe the 600 is a pretty good machine as well. I've got a friend who uses that and he's had some great results. If you want me to do some more videos in the future on the Equinox 800, Manticore 900, just post in the comments below. I think I've even got a CTX 3030 there, an Explorer and a Minelab Sovereign, so just let us know below if it's something that interests you.